All right, we live. The video ended very abruptly. Good evening, welcome. Sound check, sound check. I'm hearing a little echo. I'm not sure. Please let me know in the comment section. Good evening and welcome back to A Happy Healthy You, Body, Mind, Soul, where we discuss all things health and wellness related. This evening, please let me know if you're hearing clearly because I'm hearing a little feedback. We are streaming live on Facebook, and I just remembered I do have to share it in the group because Facebook changed their settings. So just give me 1 second to share the live in the group. We are live. All right, so we're back. Good evening and welcome back again to the Thursday lives, well, every other week lives. And I am happy to be here. And today I am joined with a guest. Just a little housekeeping. If you want me to see your name on StreamYard, please give StreamYard permission so that I can see and acknowledge you. I am streaming on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and also on YouTube. And this evening, we are going to speak a bit, because we can't speak about every aspect of mental health. What is mental health? What's the importance of really working on your mental health? And a few tips and tools that um, you can use to help you with your mental health. So before we go on, we do have a sponsor this evening, and this evening's sponsor is Breathe Teletherapy. All right. Thank you for the sponsor. I'm just going to move this and make this a little wider. There we go. We're in business now. All right. So this evening, I am joined with Counselor Miss Ansia White, but I am going to pass the podium over to her and allow her to introduce herself to the listening audience.
Hello, good night, everybody. Are you hearing me well?
I'm hearing you loud and clear. Yes. If you're hearing, please drop a
Nicely.
one.
So, yes, I am Ansia White. I am a counselor and I am a founder of Breed Teletherapy, where I thought of the idea that there's not everyone who feels that comfortability of coming into an office. So I made it available where they can contact, be on the phone, be on your laptop, whatever it is, can be video, it cannot be anonymous, and you can speak about whatever troubles there is, whatever stress that's bothering you, grief. We have a lot of different techniques that are available for any individual that have any issues or challenges in their lives. And most recently, I have begun an initiative called the Stressless campaign where it deals with assisting individual that is dealing with stress. Also, I'm going to be launching my book very soon called The Stressless Equation because I don't know about you, but I've had a relationship with stress for a while and I had to tell them goodbye. And I'm having a peaceful relationship with myself. And I want to
Hello? We're not hearing. Seem
To
like the
tell
video.
stress goodbye. We don't need that toxic relationship in our lives anymore. So when it comes to that, mental health is at the top of the list, and I don't think we take it as we should. And thankful to Doc here. She has invited me that we can deal with this very important topic and give you some hints, some tips in the way in which you can handle it on a daily basis.
Yeah. So the first thing I
So
really
yes, Doc,
wanted to
that's you.
touch on was the definition of mental health. I do a lot of presentations, and anytime I ask the question, what does mental health mean to you? And without a doubt, there's always that one person that says, oh, you're crazy. And I always have to clarify what mental health means. Mental health forms a part of our overall health. So whether we think we have mental health or not, we do, because once we can think, we can feel, we can process things, we have emotions, we can express emotions. And I like to put a social aspect as part of mental health as well, relationships, not just with ourselves, but with colleagues, with family members, with friends, with even strangers. And also, there's a financial portion of mental stress that I also include, because if you are stressing about finances, if you don't have food to meet your basic needs, then it will play a part on your mental health. So just to clarify, we all have mental health. And I'm hearing an echo. I'm not sure why. Are you hearing an echo
That's
when I'm
true.
speaking? Please let me know if you're hearing an echo, but I'm hearing an echo, a little echo while I'm speaking. So, mental health is everybody's business. One of the things that I hear all the time is that, oh, that's not my problem. And it is all of our problems, because if somebody, I like to give the example, if we are both in the ER and I have a broken thumb, and somebody comes in with a mental health crisis, perhaps attempted suicide, or they're having what we may term loosely as a mental breakdown, then they will be top priority. So we are all affected when it comes to mental health, and it should be everybody's business. The next thing I wanted for you to touch on, Ansia, is the importance of maintaining our mental health and working on our mental health. Hello, are you hearing me? Your video froze. Seem like we're having a little bit of weather where we are, and that's perhaps affecting our connection, our signaling this evening. But I wanted Miss White to really elaborate on the importance of our mental health. So whenever she jumps back in, but I will just speak on the topic in the meantime. It is so important. And before I talk about the importance, I want to speak about our overall health. So my company, A Happy Healthy You Limited, and this platform and all of the platforms that I have is about improving one's overall health, which includes the physical health, the body, what we put in our bodies, what we put on our bodies, our mental health, as I mentioned before, our psychological well being, our social well being, our financial well being, and our spiritual health, which is connecting with our higher power and really being our authentic self. We lost Miss White, but whenever she jumps back in, she will continue in the conversation. And one of the things that I always say is that it doesn't matter what we're doing with any aspect of our bodies, it will affect another part. So if what the foods that we're eating will affect our mental health and our physical health, the relationships that we have with colleagues, friends, family, intimate relationships, or otherwise, they will affect our health. Stress, as Miss White was mentioning, it plays a critical role in our mental health. And not just our mental health, our physical health as well. Many of the clients that I see, the core of the issues or the starting point of their issues is poor management or overload with stress or prolonged stress or chronic stress, just dealing with some sort of stressful event that then causes a physical ailment. So we have like tension, headaches, high blood pressure can be caused from not being able to manage stress well enough, and other ailments, stomach ulcers, sometimes gaining weight, losing weight, mood swings, all sorts of different things that can affect our mental health and our physical health. So whatever we do with one, so whether we are running, we're exercising, it's going to affect both our physical health and our mental health. And whenever Miss White gets back in, I would really want her to elaborate a little bit more on the importance of us working on our mental health because it affects all aspects of our lives. Now I want to segue a little to some of the tips and tools that we can use to work on our mental health. Now at the top, I'm going to put managing stress. And when we look at stress, I usually characterize stress into four different types of stresses. So we have our daily stressors. This is, the cooking, the cleaning, getting ready for work, getting the children ready, stuck in traffic, answering emails. These are our daily stressors that everybody encounters. Then we have our life altering stressors. So getting married, having a divorce, getting the divorce, moving from one country to another, starting a career, ending a career, an addition to the family, a subtraction from the family. Then we have our catastrophic stressors. This is all of our natural disasters. So we have our hurricanes, our floods, where if you are in a cold area, it might be a snowstorm, etc. And then we have our environmental stresses, anything that affects the environment. So water pollution, air pollution, sound pollution, or what have you. So these are the four different categories of stressors that we can encounter. One, at least one, we do encounter daily stressors, or we may encounter two or three different types of stressors. So now we have Miss White back with us. I want her to speak a bit more about managing stress. She has a whole campaign about managing stress. So I'm going to put her in the category of an expert when it comes to dealing with, managing, and really working on stressful events in your life. So, Miss White, can you elaborate a little bit about how we can manage stress and why it's important for us to manage stress?
Okay, definitely. I'm sorry about that. We've been having some lovely weather today, and it seemed to be affecting my connection, but that's okay. So, before I go into managing stress, we actually have to understand what stress is and how it works and why it affects us so easily, even though even though we may be aware that we can be affected by stress and we put up a border or barrier, it can still affect us. And where I'll start is that we have stress and we have distress. Now, eustress is the good type of stress.
Sorry, Miss White, we're having a little trouble hearing what you're saying. It's breaking up quite a bit. So I think what she was saying is
Are
that
we back?
there, yes, okay, go ahead. So could you just
Yes,
repeat? I know what you're talking about, but I don't think persons heard. And I think this is really a point that we need to emphasize about the stress, good and bad. It's like cholesterol. We have the good cholesterol, the bad cholesterol,
definitely.
good kind of stress, and the bad kind
So
of stress.
as relating, I was we have two main type of stress where we have eustress and we have and we have distress. Now, eustress is the stress that is the good stressor. It actually helps us. It's a kind of stress that it motivates us. It allows us to rise to action. It allows us to achieve our goals. It's like the excitement that we feel before we give a presentation, or the adrenaline rush that we experience before a big game, or the thrill of starting a new job, or the butterflies in our stomach before we go on a date. So this is eustress, and it's good. It helps us. It boosts us with um adrenaline, and adrenaline can be good because it lets us get into action. And now we have distress, which is the bad type of stress. Distress, it wreaks havoc on our well-being, and this is where we are at a risk for our mental health to be affected in a negative way. It comes about when we have pressures from a work deadline, or we have financial worries, or we have relationship conflicts, or we have health problems. So, this is the type of stress that we have to learn how to turn it over and make it be more of a new stress type of situation. And it's not easy, but I'll tell you this much. When it comes, the more that we use our critical thinking, that is when we are able to direct our stress in the way that we want it to. So instead of it handling us, we handle it. So when it comes to managing stress, in the book that I am soon to release, I have one something called the 1, 2, 3s of stressing. And this is a way that you manage stress. The first step is mind control. When we think of mind control, we usually think of it as some outside presence controlling our minds, when we are the ones that's supposed to be in control of our minds. There are nobody or nothing else outside that is supposed to be in more control of our minds than ourselves. So when it comes to managing stress, mind control is the first step that you want to attack in order to lower your distress. And the second way we can manage stress is self care. Now, we talk about self care, and it's a big thing now, but what does self care really mean? Self care can be defined very differently for a lot of different persons. Self care for me personally is going to the beach. That is how I lower my distress, by going for a swim, hearing the waves, spend a nice afternoon at the beach, or reading a book. That's my self care. Others may want to go out for dinner. Maybe they want to eat a bowl of ice cream, some eat some chocolate. Everybody has a different way to care for themselves. And that is another way that you can manage stress. The third aspect of managing stress is resilience. When it comes to the fight, or when it comes to managing stress, you must be resilient, because if it's one thing I know that is resilient is stress. So you're gonna have to be even more resilient than stress. And what I have learned, especially through emotional intelligence, is it's not the situation, but it's the way you deal with the situation. There are many individuals who face similar circumstances, but you can see one person dealing with the situation in a more distressful manner, and then another individual dealing with it in a eustressed manner. So it's how you deal with the situation, and you must be resilient. And these are the three major factors that help you manage stress. And this is not a quick
Overnight.
race. This is a lifetime marathon. So you're not going to stop running. So you need to get in fit. Your cognitive senses need to be fit in order for you to manage your stress, or else you will not only may get a mental breakdown, and this is where they say the person has gone crazy because they literally have gotten a mental breakdown because of the elements that stress has done to them. One analogy that I use in terms of stress is like stress is a chisel. When they do those excavations with in the Middle East or Egypt, and they just chisel away. If you look, you see one little hammer and one small thing they're just chipping away. But the more they chip, the more they discover. And this is what stress does. It chips away slowly, slowly until it reaches to that aspect where you have no resolve, no protection. And this is where you actually get a mental breakdown. So, in order to circumvent that situation, you must be able to manage stress. And I would encourage you to have mind control, self care, and resilience would be at the top of the list.
Yeah. And added to resilience, I would also like to put being adaptable, because it's a matter of perception, I guess, what the situation is like. And sometimes we look at a situation and we're thinking there's no way out. And one of the things I like to tell people, you have to look at it from a different angle, and you have to approach it in a different way, because whatever you were doing from before obviously is not working. And so we have to be able to adapt to whatever the situation is, so that we don't reach a breaking point, because the mental breakdowns that we're talking about is a matter of not being able to adapt to whatever it's is happening. And I always believe that we all have something on different levels. So we have different levels of anxiety, we have different levels of coping with things, but some just have more threshold, higher or lower threshold than others. Um, I want to I wanted you to elaborate a little bit more about the mind control. It sounds really mystical, but it is really not as mystical as it sounds. Like, what one or two things that persons can do to really work on their mind and the way they look at things when they're going through a stressful event or a life stressor?
Okay, so one of the things that you do when you are practicing mind control is that you have to be mindful. It's what you call mindfulness. You have to be present in the situation. Sometimes we get into a situation and then our schemas, like how we deal with the situation, all of the time it goes into automatic gear. So we are not in control. But when we relax and realize what is happening with the situation and thinking, how do I want to deal with the situation? What
Right.
is happening in my mind? You can feel parts of your body reacting. I have a clenched fist. Why am I clenching my fist? These are ways in which your body and your mind can collaborate, and you'll be able to control your mind. Unclench my fist, because when you're clenching your fist, that means you're getting ready for a fight. And if you don't want to fight, you got to tell your mind to unclench your fist and behave in a different manner. And this is where critical thinking comes in. So it's all about in the mind. And this is where mind leads body. Your body leads your mind. So you must be mindful. Why am I reacting this way? Is it really this serious? Yes, the person cut in line before me when I was there first. How am I going to react to this situation? Am I going to blurt some indecent language? Or am I going to ask them in a nice manner? I was here first. Do you mind stepping at the back of the line? Or maybe sometimes you can just let it go. And this is where you build other parts of your life, patience, understanding. Maybe they're in a rush. What? Maybe they need to get out of here. Maybe they have an emergency. So when we think of others, instead of just thinking about ourselves sometimes, which it may be hard, you get to be more understanding. And your mind now goes into full gear where you're not being led by your automatic responses to certain situations. Also, you
So
must
we're
practice.
responding rather than reacting.
Yes, you're responding. You're mindfully responding. You're not only mindfully responding, you're making a decision before you react.
Yeah.
You're saying, this is the decision I am choosing to make because it is the best decision. That's how you are most mindful. And I'm going to tell you, this will come up every minute. You realize the decisions and choices you have to make. Some may not be as urgent as it seems, and some are very urgent. And in that split second of making that decision, it can change your life. I tell you this much. And it's very important for us to have mind control. One thing that we battle with for mind control is our devices. Our devices are a big hindrance to us having mind control because we react to certain videos, we react to certain posts without critically thinking or having control of how we want to think about this particular thing. So when it comes to mind control, it's something that we must be aware of and decide this is the decision I want to make because I'm in charge of my life and not anybody else or nothing else outside. Not the situation, not another person. I'm in control of my mind, and this is what I decide to do.
Yeah. So you spoke about mind control. Remind me of the second one, and then you said resilience. The second one was, you mentioned three things: mind
Self
control,
care.
self care. Yes, yes, yes. So I want to
Yes.
elaborate a bit about self care, because when we hear self care, we're just thinking about getting our hair and nails done, and to me that's like surface level, superficial. Um, I tend to include, like setting boundaries. Well, what would you include generally for persons to include in self care?
Now, self care, when it comes to your mental status, it can be very different than when it comes to your physical body. Now, your mind is the most functioning part of your body. It's not only in a physical state. And when you think of the mind, this is why I'm so enthralled by the mind. It's not a physical, it's not a physical thing. It is so broad in its expanse. Is unimaginable to understand or describe. I get excited when I talk about the mind. So imagine,
Well, they say we only use 10% of our brain, like 10%.
imagine that our
Maybe if we
mind
can get to
goes to
50%, we could do like amazing things.
we because of how broad our minds can go, we have to take care of it. I say the mind is the most, or what they say, the heart. But the mind is one of the most important parts of the body. Whereas you can function without a limb or some body parts inside they can take out, functioning without a mind is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So to take care of that is just like taking care of your body, but without a physical structure. Taking
Yes.
care of your mind, sometimes in cases you have to take care of your body sometimes to take care of your mind. So getting things like massages, because the body and the mind are interconnected. So getting massages, it helps to relieve tension all over your body, like you have different pressure points. It helps to relieve your mind. Being in that state of calm assists you with not having to think about the pressures of what's going on in your life, especially if it's negative emotions that you have to deal with. Dealing with your mind and caring for it has to do with also getting professional help. Not because you're crazy, because speaking to another individual helps a lot. And that is a type of self care. You are not holding in those negative emotions, but you're letting it out. Or even if you don't want to reach as far as getting professional help, find some trusting individual that you can sit and speak to and assist your mind to be relieved of some of the negative emotions, negative thoughts. Self care, when it comes to your mental health, has a lot to do with letting go of negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are one of the greatest hindrance when regards to our mental health. So we take care of ourselves by ingesting positive thoughts, positive affirmations. Just like we are not going to eat chocolate all day, we're not going to be taking in negative thoughts all day because that in turn will rupture and disintegrate your mental health. And when it comes to resilience now, oh boy, when it comes to resilience,
It took a
you only
deep
get
breath. Yeah.
resilience
It took a really deep breath before you said resilience. Like,
from personal experience. Trust you me. Resilience only comes with constant testing. You do not gain resilience other than to be tested constantly.
yes.
But one way to gain resilience is to know how to you're going to deal with certain situations. And this is where self growth comes in. What type of person do you want to be? You can be assertive and not aggressive. You can be empathetic, but not somebody that is easily walked over. So, in order for you to gain resilience, it's not that you're going to be taking the bitter end of dealing with certain things all the time. You have to make up your mind. How am I going to deal with certain situations? It may not be a cut and paste for majority of the situations, but you can take certain aspects from one situation and put it into another situation. And this is where, when you interlink all of them and you have mindfulness, when you're mindful, your resilience builds stronger. You get those resilience muscles because mindfulness is like the nutritional aspect in which you're taking to help to build your resilience. And then when you add some self care on top of that, then you are able to assist yourself with coming down from those highs when you are not able to release that pent up energy when sometimes you may want to say something to help you relieve yourself when somebody does something to you negatively. Or maybe if you're somebody who may be a physical person, you can learn to step back from that and change yourself and have growth in terms of building your mindset, and mindset as well just interlink. So when it comes to stress, when it comes to mental health, it's just a long continuous chain with a lot of interlinking things that helps build you into a better individual and in control of your mind and yourself.
Yeah, I really want to highlight something you said about resilience. It's like on the job training. And it makes sense. It makes sense. It's almost like learning to drive a car without actually getting inside the car and turning on the ignition and driving. Like you will never learn how to drive a car until you get in the car and drive. And
Yeah,
resilience is like that. You
have to.
do have to get
Yes,
the testing that to know. That's how you build a muscle, actually. That's how you build a muscle by the experiences. So with every new experience, with every new encounter of something that may be negatively affecting you, then you will learn how to cope a little better and a little better. um, One of the things that in mental health, like in substance abuse centers, is that they speak a lot about not isolating, because it's very easy for us to want to isolate ourselves when we're going through an issue, but not isolating ourselves is a good thing if we really want to break free of stressful events. Um, so I want to speak about, and we didn't give the, oh, Miss White went out again, but we didn't give the number that you can reach out to her. Let me just give you the number if you want to reach out to her for her breathe teletherapy, and it is counseling via the phone. So for persons who want to remain anonymous, somebody who doesn't want the in-person counseling, you can reach out to her at 268-728-7448. And you can send her a message or even call. And okay, I see she has two devices trying to get on. We just lost you for a second, but I was just letting persons know how they can reach out to you.
I
Um,
know. Yes,
um, I shared and I shared a number, but can you share your email address if anybody wants to reach out to you for any counseling services or the breathe teletherapy? And I'll just post it. The Okay, we lost her again. But you, Antigua Digest at Gmail. We lost Miss White again. We are having some technical issues due to the weather, inclement weather. But if you want to speak out to her, you can reach her at Antigua Digest at gmail.com as well, if you prefer to email her. And I want to segue a bit to something that I use as it's for improving your mental health, as well as managing stress, and an aspect of self care, which is journaling. So if you are not aware, I do have my own journal if anyone wants to reach out, but it doesn't have to be my journal. Anything can do, just buy a cute little journal. And I do have a free journal prompt sheet, because sometimes I tell persons, oh, you should journal, and they're not sure what they should journal. So if you go on the PayHip store, you will be able to find the journal prompt. And I'm just going to pull it up and drop it in the comment section if anybody is interested in getting the journal prompt worksheet. This is a free worksheet, and it gives you some quotes, questions that you can use as a guide if you want to start journaling and you're not sure where to start. So that is the journal prompt worksheets. And journaling, just journaling in general. It doesn't have to be every day. It can be every day, but it does not have to be every day. And I'm curious to know, and you can drop in the comments, what do you do for managing stress? Also, what do you do for self-care? I'll be curious to know, so you can drop that in the comment section until Miss White gets back in. So if you are interested, you can also, there is a health, happiness and purpose workbook or journal that you can use. I'm going to drop that in the comment section as well. If you are interested in getting a journal, if you don't already have a journal and you want to get a journal, you can get that journal as well. So I want to start to wrap up the live, but Miss White is still out, and that's fine. I want to really summarize what we have been speaking about. So we've been speaking about our mental health, the importance of mental health, and what is mental health first of all, that we all have mental health, as mental health forms part of our overall health, our physical, mental, and spiritual health. And in our mental health, we have our psychological well-being, our emotions, how we process things, how we think, how we react. We have our relationships, which forms part of mental health as well, and the social aspect of mental health. And also we spoke about the financial aspect of mental health, because if we are stressing about finances, it's going to affect our mental health. And so we really want to share some tips that you can use to help you on your journey of managing stress. And as Miss White said earlier, there are two different types of stress. So we have the eustress, which is the good type of stress that helps to motivate us, the butterflies in the stomach before a big date or before a speech. And then we have the distress, which dysregulates our body and pump out all of those stress hormones that cause us to become very angry and agitated, that can disturb our sleep and disturb our digestive system, our immune system. And stress is one of those things that can wreak havoc on your body and can cause other elements to happen, other problems, issues, health issues, tension, headaches, stress ulcers. We can lose weight, we can gain weight, we can get acne, our immune system can break down. And so stress is one of those things that we really have to learn to manage. But it's not all bad. The bad one, we want to try to use it and turn it around to do good. And the good kind of stress, we will use it to continue to motivate us and to push us forward with whatever it is that we are doing. So if I'm not seeing any comments, but if you do have a question afterwards, you can also reach out to me at info at a happy healthy you. Why? site for questions or comments. Again, it has been a pleasure being here. We have been speaking about mental health. Again, Miss White was my guest today, but she's having a lot of technical issues due to the inclement weather this evening, and that's quite fine. She will be having a book launch very soon of the Stress Less Equation, a book that I'm already halfway through the book, and it's ram packed with really great information, practical tools and tips that you can use on a daily basis to help you manage stress. And I also have, and I dropped it in the comment section, the Health, Happiness, Purpose Journal and the journal prompt sheet. And the there's a workbook that I have evaluating your stressors, which I just remembered. So I will drop that as well. Evaluating your stressors. If you want to learn more about what may be affecting you, because you may not be aware, and there's certain things that we may take for granted that may not be affecting us and is affecting us. So if you want to know, am I being affected negatively, physically, mentally, with some sort of life stressor that is happening? You can use that workbook as well to help you to identify the stressors that may be in your life. All right, so it has been great. Um, I am streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. A Happy Healthy You, Body, Mind, Soul. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and also LinkedIn at Dr. Saren P. King, MD. If you have any questions, concerns, or queries, or if you want to learn more about Miss Ansia White, she's a counselor and she has her business and her campaign coming up. It's ongoing rather. The Stress Less campaign and her book launch very soon, the Stress Less Equation. So that will be the end of this evening live. Thank you all for joining in. I could not see the names of those who have joined in, but thank you to everybody who has joined in live. And if you're catching the replay afterwards, thank you. And please share the information for anyone who may want to learn more about managing their mental health. And good evening, and stay happy and stay healthy. Bye.